Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about Fantastic Four First Steps. This movie serves as a kickoff to Phase 6 of the MCU and is the 37th film in this ever-expanding universe. This movie, directed by Matt Shakman and starring Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Ibn Moss Backrack as Ben Grimm, and Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, serves as a reboot for the Fantastic Four and takes place on Earth 828. A 1960s-inspired universe where the Fantastic Four are the only heroes that exist. The first part of this video will be spoiler-free, and a spoiler warning will be given later on before any spoilers are discussed. In my personal opinion, the movie does well in almost every way, and I think it's certainly worth the wait. Let me start off by saying this movie certainly does justice to the comic books it's based on. This film served as a near-perfect adaptation of the Galactus trilogy from the 1960s and serves as a love letter to the fans of Stan Lee's and Jack Kirby's work. The performances in this movie really help it to stand out. Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards is easily the most accurate live-action version we've ever seen. What makes him so compelling is how his incredible intelligence feels like both a gift and a curse. He's constantly running worst-case scenarios in his head, burdened by the weight of protecting everyone around him. It adds a layer of vulnerability that makes Reed Richards much more than just the smart guy. Joseph Quinn, on the other hand, absolutely nailed Johnny Storm. Personality-wise, he's finally the Human Torch fans know from the comics. Cocky but charming, funny without being grating. One of the best touches? His relationship with Ben Grimm. In this film, Johnny and Ben still argue and push each other's buttons, but it's done in a way that feels more natural and even a little affectionate. Compare that to the 2005 version where Johnny often comes off as being much harsher and mean-spirited. Here, their banter has an edge, but also heart, making it feel more realistic in a family setting. Ibn Moss Backrack brings so much heart to Ben Grimm in this film. I love how the movie truly embraced his roots in Yancey Street, and seeing him visiting this place multiple times and interacting with civilians was truly moving. Quiet, cathartic moments there really brought weight to his character, which we have not seen before. And honestly, the standout for me was Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. She truly feels like the soul and leader of the team, not just because she holds her family together, but because she unites the world around her. Her presence in this movie truly matters. Herbie, the team's robotic assistant, was also very enjoyable in this film. One thing that stood out to me about him is how the Fantastic Four treated him very well, like an actual member of the family. This is very contrary to how droids are often treated in media, like in Star Wars, where they're seen as being disposable. It is a small detail in this film, but it really fits the movie's theme of compassion and family, and is something that I really enjoyed. As for the villains, Ralph Ineson's Galactus might go down as one of the most terrifying comic book villains ever. Every line he delivers feels heavy, like the whole room freezes. And Julia Garner's Silver Surfer is fantastic, menacing when she needs to be, but layered enough to make you sympathize with her. Action-wise, this movie truly delivers. Every member of the Fantastic Four gets their moment to shine. The two biggest highlights for me were the space battle with the Silver Surfer and the final confrontation with Galactus. Both sequences were stunning, high stakes, and perfectly choreographed. The CGI? Honestly, it's some of Marvel's best. The Silver Surfer looks incredible, better in my opinion than even the 2007 version. The Thing has never looked more comic accurate, and Reed's stretching powers looked surprisingly natural. Galactus' design is massive, intimidating, and beautifully adapted from the comics. The space sequences were really amazing, and even better than the Guardians of the Galaxy films, something I never expected that I would say. The retro-futuristic design is gorgeous. Finally, we get Fantastic Four costumes that actually respect the comics. Setting the film in an alternate universe was a smart choice, as it gives it a fresh tone, different from every other MCU movie, and it means new audiences can enjoy it without doing MCU homework or catching up on 30 other films. Before I wrap up this spoiler-free section, let me address another huge superhero movie that came out this month, that being Superman. Personally, I think both Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps were great. They felt like refreshing takes in a genre that has been oversaturated for years. But if I had to pick between the two, I personally feel that Fantastic Four First Steps edged it out for me. It just had a unique style, stronger world building, and felt like something truly new. And despite the fact that I love Superman, I think that it could still have done better in some of these aspects. Overall, I would give Fantastic Four First Steps a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed this film, and it truly felt like a love letter to comic book fans. Now, let's talk about the spoilers. Let's first start by discussing the movie's ending and Galactus' defeat. His defeat at the end of the movie definitely sets up his return in the future. It is very important that he did not die at the end of the film, but rather he was teleported to the edge of the universe with the Silver Surfer. It is very likely we will see him return in the future of the MCU, and possibly even in Avengers Doomsday. Dr. Doom could find Galactus at the edge of the universe and use him as a power source or a weapon to fight against the new Avengers. We will definitely be getting more of Doom later on in the video, but first we need to discuss Franklin Richards. At the end of the film, when Sue Storm basically pulls a Luke Skywalker and dies from overusing her abilities, during the team's confrontation with Galactus, Franklin is able to resurrect her. When Sue awakens, her eyes are initially purple and resemble Peter Quill's eyes when Ego showed him Eternity in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I think this was very much intentional, as it links Franklin's abilities to the power cosmic of Celestials like Ego. Franklin Richards' abilities to use the power cosmic very much show his level of power, and Galactus' interest in him is also a reference to the comics. In the comics, after Galactus is killed by evil Celestials, he's resurrected by Franklin Richards and ends up becoming his herald. Franklin Richards' appearance in this movie is very likely setting him up to be a major player in Avengers Doomsday, and we will likely see him eventually face Doctor Doom, or maybe even work with him, which could explain the post-credit scene where we see Doom and Franklin interacting. Now let's first discuss Doctor Doom's first tease in the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, we see the Future Foundation meeting at the start of the movie with all the international delegates, and an empty chair for the delegate of Latveria, which is the country Doom rules over in the comics. I think this was a point in the film where they were teasing his appearance in the post-credit scene. The appearance of Latveria in this movie could mean that the Fantastic Four have met Doom before, and he has decided to join their Future Foundation. It could also suggest that Victor has some sort of past with Reed, just like in the comics, where Victor goes to college in the United States and meets Reed Richards, where they work on interdimensional technology together and end up causing an accident which scars Victor's face. If this is the case, we would likely see Reed and Doom's iconic rivalry at play in the next Avengers film. We will likely see Doom kidnap Franklin, as teased in the post-credit scene where he is interacting with him, not only because of his cosmic power, but also as a way to spite Reed. My biggest hope is that we see this rivalry on the big screen, and it serves as a major plot point in the upcoming Avengers movie. Another possibility is that Reed and Doom are not enemies yet. The mid-credit scene could serve as a misdirect, and Doom and Reed's feud may not yet exist. This is supported by the fact that there are some inconsistencies in this timeline when you compare it to the comic book universe. One example of this is that Reed and Sue in this universe were already married before the accident that gives them their powers, something that does not occur until after the team gets their powers in the comics. This could suggest that the MCU may take some liberties in terms of the timeline with Doom and Reed's feud as well, being something that only starts to form later on rather than beforehand. However, I think that one of the most likely options is that Doom would have faced off against the Fantastic Four before, and now the two teams, or rather Doom and the Fantastic Four, have a mutual respect for one another, despite any conflict that they may have had in the past. Both parties may be at odds, but at the same time, they likely share a common goal, which is ensuring the greater good. However, both parties view this in very different ways. The Fantastic Four view the greater good as being a world that is free and safe. However, Doom believes the greater good is a world in which he is the sole one in charge. We could see Doom in Avengers Doomsday attempt to recruit the Fantastic Four by giving them the impression he's trying to save the multiverse, when instead he has ulterior motives, which basically constitutes the obliteration of the multiverse and the creation of a singular universe which he rules over as a superior god emperor, a universe which he deems as perfect, his Battleworld. Fantastic Four First Steps doesn't just reboot Marvel's first family, it lays the groundwork for the next phase of the MCU. With Franklin Richards introduced and Doom's shadow looming, the future feels truly immense. If Marvel follows through, we could be heading towards a spectacular Avengers film, where the Fantastic Four and Doom become central players. For now, this movie reminded me why I love these characters, and it's easily one of the best cosmic Marvel stories we've gotten on this big screen. Anyways, what did you think? Did you enjoy Fantastic Four First Steps? What are your theories about Franklin Richards and Doom's plan? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.